open, loving kind of place where everybody everybody's pretty friendly. I mean, it's a big city, so you got some people who are kind of closed, but we're a very friendly, open place. And Toronto's great because there's all these communities, right? Like I said, we had that little Portugal community, but there's all kinds of different communities and clubs for people who are Latin American or Indian or from different places or Chinese that you can actually go in and meet other people that are also from your same area, but also meet other people in different clubs or just different organizations who are from different countries as well. And so I think that, I know you asked specifically about Latin America in Canada, and I kind of broaden that to like how Toronto and Canada is very multicultural because we are multicultural, right? We've got people from everywhere that come to Canada, and I think that really influences our country in a really, really good way. And it's easy to get by in Toronto, uh, you know, when you don't come from Toronto or when you don't come from Canada, because at least half the other people here don't come from Toronto, right? Or not born here. So is that a good answer for you? Do you have any other questions
Yes,
about that?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
sure, sure. And what city are you in Canada?
I don't know yet. Maybe Toronto. Maybe it's Regina in Saskatchewan. But
Yep,
uh,
yep.
I don't know. But this I will be there soon.
I recommend that you do. Um, Toronto is a really good city. The problem with Toronto, well, actually, no. I mean, the problem with Toronto historically has been that it's getting more and more expensive. Um, but rents are now coming down, and that's actually uh, very good because a lot of people have been actually leaving the city because the real estate prices, like most major cities, is through the roof. Um, but I think that it's uh, I do recommend Toronto. I'm a little biased, but I recommend Toronto. I think that my pick for you would be to come to Toronto. But of course, it's the West Coast is really interesting as well. And if you like mountains and things like that, Alberta is nice as well in different places.
Thank you.
Okay, Dan. Adam just mentioned one of the considerations of living in Canada is a place in Regina,
Yeah,
up north. What's the weather like? Is it
it,
snow all the time? Is it cold?
never been to Regina.
Hmm.
Um, it's a medium-sized city. I don't know if Regina's even got a million people. It might have a million people. It might be less than that. Maybe 400,000. I'm not sure. I can double check that. But I've never been to Saskatchewan. So Regina is in the province of Saskatchewan. I've never been there. What I do know about it is that it's in the plains, so it's very, very flat lands, which makes it ideal for things like agriculture and things like that. So you'll see a lot of agriculture there and things like that. But I do know British Columbia, I know Alberta, don't know Manitoba, don't know Saskatchewan. I also know the East Coast as well. So Halifax, Nova Scotia. I've been out to St. John's, Newfoundland, and Newfoundland is really interesting, really amazing. Culturally, and the way it looks is much more different than Ontario. So there's a lot of really interesting places. I mean, also look at Montreal. Montreal is an incredibly diverse city. I mean, there's parts of Montreal that look like old French cities architecturally. And so if you don't get a chance to, or if you don't choose Montreal as a place to live, at least visit there because it's much different than the rest of Canada as well, in Quebec City as well. Sorry, I can't give you a lot of extra detail about Regina, but I believe in Regina it's going to be cold and you're going to get quite a bit more snow than you would in Toronto, let's say. for sure, especially in America.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so Adam, you don't mind snow. You're looking to live somewhere where there's loads of snow.
But you know, La Paz is all time cold. It's cold inside our house, outside the house. But I know in Canada, the houses have a stove. In this case, maybe it's snowing outside. Inside the house, you have a better weather. Sorry, a better climate. No, I think for this reason, I think it's better.
Hmm.
Okay.
Do you ever get snow in La Paz? Ever?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah?
in the
Yes.
winter.
Wow.
Yeah. Never.
No,
But
in
it's
La,
differently.
Yeah.
in La Paz, we have snow approximately in January and December. It's,
Okay.
in here is a summer, but we are close to the Amazon. For this reason, the humidity and the cold, the air cold, has a snow. But yes, we have snow here, but in summer, not in winter.
Ah, okay. Okay.
It's
You're,
crazy.
you're at a really high altitude in La Paz.
Yes, 3,500 meters, and El Alto has 4,000 meters. Yes, it's really high.
What I really liked, actually, one thing I liked about Bolivia is it was like a tea from like the cocoa plant. And it's
Yes,
very
coca.
useful when you're in higher altitudes.
Yes, it's nice. Coca leaves is really nice. You can chew, but it's nice to try to try. And I have a coca leaf normally in my pocket, but I
Yeah.
don't use when I have a stomach ache or when I stay a little bored, maybe
Yeah.
in a funeral, but I chewing coca leaves, but normally no.
Okay. Okay. It was something that was brand new to me. So when I was there, the hotels all had it, everyone had it, and so I would actually go there, and if I could get it, I would try it. I liked it. So
Yes,
yeah,
Yes, it's delicious.
thank you, Dan.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. All right, Gina. Hello, Gina, over in Peru. Good afternoon, welcome. Um, you've been hearing a bit from Daniel. Any questions from Danny about
Yeah.
working from any parts, anywhere in the world? Anything?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Daniel.
Hi.
Well, I have three questions. I have three questions. The first is, what is what is skills in technology I have to consider if you go to Canada?
What is
What is skill maybe
hmm.
in technology I
Ah,
have to consider
yep.
if I go to work in Canada or travel for
Okay. There's a lot of good skills. I was like a software developer programmer for a long time, and I still do that. I still think from my perspective, there's a really high demand for people who have a software programming background and who are into software development. I think in terms of technology, that's a really, really good skill. Not everybody likes to program. There's a lot of other options too. I mean, security right now is huge. So people with a security background, they're high in demand and they're going to continue to be high in demand. So if you have infrastructure, security background, or any kind of IT security background or training, I think that's something that's really valuable too. And I would recommend trying to network with people who are from Canada that are or any other country that you find interesting to understand what the markets are there. I know that definitely there's a lot of opportunity in Canada for software developers, systems analysts, business analysts, and security people. A lot of opportunity for sure.
Thank you. Another question
Yeah.
is, did you have a bigger difficulty in your life that you that taught you a lot?
Did I have a difficulty that?
Bigger difficulty in your life.
Any difficulties in
Yeah,
your life, Danny?
Yeah, I understood the question. Yeah, I think that big difficulty. Give me a second to think about that. I mean, I don't want to say that, no, my life has been always easy. That would be a really easy thing to answer. In terms of big difficulty, it's strange because I've never actually had to answer that question before. I would say, I mean, I don't know if I have a good answer for you for that, unfortunately. Maybe it's big difficulty. Yeah, I mean, I think one difficulty that I've had maybe would be trying to like evaluate how I want to live or live in a certain way, right? And not and kind of like follow my own path. And so I sometimes have ideas that are much different from other people's ideas, and I think that's not necessarily good or bad, but I think there's some challenges when you really have an idea and you really want something in your life, because you're going outside of what people around you are doing and what the established norms are. There's difficulty there, and for me, I want to basically combine my work and being able to kind of be in a position where I can choose the work I want to do and be in a position to say, okay, we want to work on a certain project together, to be in a position to say, no, I'm not going to do that because I have, the leverage to do that. And I'm not always in that position to do that, but that's kind of where I want to get to. And so I think that's actually a pretty big difficulty in the sense that I want to build my consulting business to the point where I can be in a better position to work on very specific projects that are of the most interesting to me. Because, I'm working on a big project right now, which is actually very interesting to me, but there's been times in the past where it's just like, okay, I can do this IT contract and it's pretty interesting, but it's not quite what I want to do. And so the difficulty is basically having to grind through things that might not necessarily be ideal, just to kind of hopefully eventually get to a position where I'm doing more things that I want to do and less things that I don't want to do, right? And I think there's been difficulty to get there, and I think it's difficult for anybody when you decide you want to do something and you actually put your mind to do something, especially when people around you are not doing that same thing. So, yeah. And you said you had a third question?
Have you ever traveled to Peru?
I've traveled to Peru.
Have you ever traveled to Peru?
Yep, traveled
Yeah.
to Peru. Machu Picchu.
What place is
Machu Picchu,
Only Machu Picchu?
Machu Picchu, Cusco, um,
Yes.
and Lima.
Another city did you visit? Only that city did you visit?
Yeah, I wanted to, I'd like to go to other places in Peru. Like there's a lot of really cool places in Peru. Like somewhere between like Lima and Arequipa, there's like these desert cities, like it's all desert, and there's like this like city like in the middle of like the desert or something. I didn't go there, but I'd like to go there. It's a lot of places I would have liked to go. Trujillo or something like that.
Yeah.
In the
How
north.
was
I would
experience
like to go
there?
Sorry?
How was your experiences here? How was when
Very
you
good.
come in?
Very good. I love the food. The food was amazing. One thing that I really like the food. Like was it like no tiradito? I remember having
What?
tiradito. Something called tiradito. I had tiradito for the first time and only time really in Peru, and it wasn't a food that I had before. It's called tiradito, and I thought that was really good as well.
Oh, I can say, yeah. Thank you for your reply.
Sure, sure. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Mariana, any questions from you?
Yes, I have questions for Daniel. Nice to meet you, Daniel.
Thank you. You as well.
Uh, well, I have a first questions is why did you choose your professions?
Uh, I was very interested. I was always very interested in software and technology. So even when I was a kid, I would work in software. I would always be writing programs on the computer. And this was when I was a teenager. This is when I was like maybe 12 years old, right? So I always had like that mindset, that technology mindset. And so I always kind of worked in that field. And I always enjoyed it. So I don't know what made me want to go into that field, but it just seemed like a natural progression for me. And so, yeah, that was why. I mean, when I left high school, I had a lot of different ideas. Like, oh, I could be a movie director. I could be all this kind of stuff. But I never attempted it. It didn't seem practical. So I just went with what I knew, and that was what I knew. So.
Oh, wow. I have a second questions for you.
Okay.
What place you recommend me visit in Canada?
I think Toronto. Toronto's a very, like I said before, a very multicultural city, a very vibrant city. Montreal and Quebec City for sure, for sure. Those are really great places to go to. It all depends on your time because it's a very big country. If you like the mountains and things like that and that kind of scenery, I would say Calgary or Edmonton, and then from there you can go to the mountains. And then what else? I would say like Vancouver is very nice too. I've only spent a small amount of time there, but it's really nice too. And so if you're planning a trip and you have, let's say, like 1 or 2 weeks, you're probably going to want to decide between the West Coast or the East Coast. And so on the West Coast, you've got Vancouver, maybe Calgary, Edmonton, the Rocky Mountains in there as well. That could probably be all done, in a couple of weeks. If you go to the East Coast, you can probably do Toronto, Niagara Falls, which is really, really amazing. Montreal and Quebec City. I mean, Montreal is about 6 or 8 hours drive from Toronto. It's not that close, but it's not that far, right? So feasibly you can do that in the same trip. I would probably recommend between those two options. Me personally, I would say that Toronto, Montreal, Quebec City, Niagara Falls. If you've got 2 full weeks, would be a really good option for sure.
Okay, thank you. And what is the best for study?
To study in,
Yeah.
like for me, it was technology. For others, it really depends kind of on what you're into. And but if you like technology or you're into technology, I totally recommend a career in technology. And companies here are always looking for people who have technology skills, for sure.
Okay, thank you so much. And I have a final question.
Sure.
What is your favorite food in Latin America?
What is my what? Sorry?
Your favorite food in Latin America,
Mm.
in
Considering
Peru
all of Latin
or
America?
Chile or Brazil?
Oh man. It's good. I really, I'm gonna pick 3 places: Brazil, Colombia,
Churrasco,
and Peru.
maybe, Daniel.
Huh?
Churrasco, barbecue, or churrasco,
Churrasco of Brazil.
Brazil, yeah.
I love barbecue.
Yeah.
Churrasco, Brazilian barbecue, amazing. Uruguayan, the tortilla. I didn't have barbecue in Bolivia though. But I love the food in all the countries in South America that I went to, and I like the diversity. And one thing about Brazil, Brazil is a huge country. Like it's probably almost half the landmass of all of South America, and so you have different regions in Brazil, not half the landmass, but it's a pretty big country. You have different regions in Brazil, and depending where you go in Brazil, the food's different too. The food can be as different as traveling from one country to another when you're in Brazil, going from one state to another. So it's hard for me to say with any certainty, because if I tell you an answer, I'll probably change my mind next time I go to a different country and have their food. But I really love Colombia, Peru, and Brazil for sure.
Okay, thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mariana. Great set of questions. Okay, over to you, Rosario. Any questions for Danny?
Yes. Hello, Danny. Well, first, I like that you have the opportunity to visit Bolivia, especially La Paz. La Paz is a wonderful city.
Yeah.
And, well, you said that you are from Canada. I want to know if there is a difference to get residents from a small town than a big city like Toronto. Could you tell me?
I think it depends on how to get residents, because there's different avenues to go to get residents. But one of the ways I know is through a job or through work. And so because there are a lot of big companies concentrated in the bigger cities, that's the most likely avenue. But if you're finding a company that wants to hire you, you would work with that company and they would handle all of that. And I think the best places to really start are, the big international companies or the big banks of Canada. And any really, really large company will have the resources and the expertise to handle all the immigration stuff and handle all the paperwork. And so that would be the starting point. And those companies generally, not in every case, but generally, have big offices in the big city. And so probably the big city is your best bet, but it's not completely the case every time, but majority of the time.
Okay. And I want to know how about the medical assistance is very expensive in Canada?
No, because we actually have government healthcare. So the government handles all the healthcare for us. I've never paid a hospital bill, except if it was something that was not covered by the government. But most things are covered, and all the necessities are covered. I can say that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I believe that if you're a permanent resident, which is like the it's not the first step. The first step for people to come here, and I've had these conversations with other people because, like I said, all the corporate environments I work with are full of people that were not born here, and full of people that have come in on a work visa and have actually become a permanent resident and eventually become a resident. And so I know a little bit about that process, but the first step is, the company will sponsor a work visa. And then second would be after a certain amount of time, I don't know all the details on that, but after a certain amount of time, you can go and get a permanent residency. Then a certain amount of time after that, it's possible to get, citizenship, right? So that's kind of the avenue for it. In terms of the timing and the requirements for that, I don't have all those details, but that's the general path I know of people that come to Canada to work and that like it so much that they want to stay, and so they kind of go down that path.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel.
Welcome.
Thank you, Rosario. Great questions. Andrea, over to you.
Okay. Did you hear me? Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I have two questions. The first is I listened that he visited to India, and I would like to know about what are the customs of India that call your attention. This is my first question. And the second question is that he participated in Color Festival of the India.
Okay. So no, I've never been to India, but I've had a lot of Indian food. But India is one country that I'm very fascinated with because in Toronto there's a lot of Indian people here, and so I've learned a lot about the culture of India just by meeting people from India. But personally, I've never been to India, but it's a place that I really want to go to.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else that you want to ask me?
Yes, in your country, speak to French too.
Yeah.
And for you, it's very easy to. How can I say? What is your favorite singer in French? Oh, yes.
I don't speak French that well, but we have a large French population here, and going to Quebec and Montreal, there's a lot of French people, but I don't speak French that well. In fact, we always talk about Canada being a multi-language, multilingual country, but most of the French-speaking population is limited to Quebec, which is a big province, and then some of the border cities around there have a lot of French people too, but mostly limited to Quebec. And we have to study French in school, but I'll be honest, my Spanish and Portuguese at this point is probably better than my French.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Hey, Manuela, over to you. Anything you want to know from Danny about remote working, IT?
Yes, you could
Anything.
help me. Hello, Danny. I'm doing some migration stuff and I hate it.
Cool.
I'm migrating currently SharePoint, which is not fun. Anyway,
Yes.
yes. I have some question for you as well.
Sure.
First of all, I was wondering that a lot of people from US were moving to Canada because they found Trump's politics so bad.
Okay.
And first of all, my really favorite writer, John Irving, became a Canadian citizen.
Oh, okay.
That has really impressed me. So what is going on? Is Canada so liberal? Is Justin Trudeau so liberal? Or yeah, why do all these people move from US to Canada?
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are for people that move to from US to Canada. But yeah, certainly I've heard stories of a lot of people that do it or want to do it. Yeah, I mean, we have, so the thing about Canada, like a lot of countries, I mean, it's politically, we're in between conservatives and we're in between liberals, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I try to stay politically neutral all the time. I try not to get involved in politics too much, but our healthcare system is one of the cornerstones of our political environment here. But one thing about our country is that the right side, the conservatives, and the liberal side, the liberals, both of them support our healthcare system, our public healthcare system. So that's one thing that I think in Canada that we do well. That all political parties agree that we have a healthcare system that is for the people and not just kids. We're not going to change that. And so I think that probably attracts a lot of people. In terms of Trudeau and Trudeau's government, like most governments, there's a lot of things that I agree with, and there's a lot of things I don't agree with at the same time. But one thing that I think we've done well historically on it is our policy for immigration and things like that. And Canada's always stepped up to even help, refugees from other countries, from war-torn countries, and things like that. So we've done a lot of good things right there. And again, those kind of things that Canada does are not right versus left politics. It's just something that we do, regardless of if you're on the right or the left. And so I think that's one difference politically that we have from the USA. And the USA right now is that, the left and the right are so disastrously far apart that it's politically it's a very interesting time for them, for sure. Right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so like if you're in a country where one side wants healthcare and one side wants private healthcare, and they want to make it better, and like you're in the middle of that, like in Canada things just are. Like healthcare just is, and that's just what it is. Right. So that's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a difference that I appreciate being in Canada.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So
everybody is really thrilled with to November, yes, when the elections will come, if they will come. Yeah.
yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But another question for you and your trips you have experienced. So what was your greatest adventure? What was your greatest experience you have had whilst traveling? What is something which pops up in your mind directly?
Mm, I think one would be the first trip I went on, because I'd never done it before. Just had a backpack and I arrived in the city. I had no idea where I was going. I traveled to Brussels because it was the cheapest flight. It was the cheapest flight I could find to Europe was to Brussels, and that's why I went there.
Stranded in
but-
Brussels. Okay.
Yeah, why not? Right? Know Brussels, know the city, and it's a really cool city. I'd never been to Europe before, and so I just like I didn't even have a hotel or a hostel booked. I arrived at like 6 in the morning. I had nothing booked. Had a vague idea of where I was going to go, but like that liberation and that freedom was really, really amazing. And so when I think about like how I felt at that moment, having that freedom to land there and just figure it out as I go along, like that feeling was really something I remember for sure. And I mean, and as I've kept traveling, I mean that feeling comes back. But the first trip, when you really feel that for the first time, was for me really amazing. So, I mean, in that trip, Brussels, and ended up in Amsterdam, Paris, Germany. It was a really, really good trip. I mean, of course, I've been to Europe since on vacation for 2 weeks and stuff like that, and also backpacked in Europe a second time as well. But the first trip I say would be probably a good answer there.
And where have you been in Germany?
Oh, Berlin twice. Frankfurt, a city called Trier.
Here. Mhm.
Yeah, coming from
Really
Ghent, Ghent to Luxembourg to went to Trier across the
Ghent
border.
is in,
Yeah.
it's in Brussels. It's in Belgium. Sorry.
Yeah. Where else? I could probably bring up the map to know.
Have you been in
Munich?
Cologne?
Went to Munich as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Hottenburg Obergetair, I think it's called. Fusen, went to Fusen as well. Big castle there. Yeah, no, I love Germany. You know what I really like about Germany though? It's the street food. The spongy potatoes. Got these like spongy like potatoes there. I like it. The food's amazing, and actually that's one part of Toronto that I find is difficult to find good German food. Very difficult. So for such a multicultural city, I cannot for the life of me sit down and find a decent German meal. I can't.
Wow.
Is it
That is
good?
an opportunity. I could come over.
Yeah.
I'm my best friend. She lives in Montreal, and then
Yeah.
I can open a German restaurant.
That'd be amazing. I want a currywurst, man. Like I want a currywurst in the street. I can't find it. It doesn't exist. They make a currywurst, but it's not the same.
Well, that's my challenge now.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. I would love to see more German food.
Thank you, Daniel,
You're
for
welcome.
sharing that.
Sure.
Okay, thanks, Danny.
Sure.
Felix, any questions for Danny about remote working, about his experiences around the world?
No, I just want to hear Daniel's thoughts about Tampa Bay Lightning winning the NHL this year, the Stanley Cup.
Oh, actually, I like hockey. I like the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I actually was going to ask my friend the other day, who's really into hockey. I was going to ask him, "Hey, are the NHL playoffs still on?" I haven't been paying attention.
No, you haven't.
I haven't been.
All right.
I should be. I like it, but something with this pandemic and things like that. I've watched a few games, but once Toronto left, I stopped paying attention. So I didn't know that the Lightning won the cup until you just told me.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'm a big Vancouver Canuck fan, so I follow the NHL very, very closely.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, hockey is like it's our national. It's not really our national sport. Lacrosse is technically our national sport, but everyone here likes hockey. We're a hockey.
Yeah, you have like lacrosse, ice hockey, and curling, right?
Okay. Curling, yep, we do a lot of curling too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in Sweden, I'm from Sweden, so we're a big hockey nation as well. That's why I'm a big fan.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I'll leave the word to Daryl again.
Yeah, thank you, Felix. Okay, we've got a new Andrea G. Hello, welcome. Any questions for Daniel?
Hi. No, I don't have a question for Daniel.
Okay, well, you sure nothing? Anything? Any question in the world?
Yes. I need
okay, Martin, yeah,
some
over to you.
advice from Daniel. Daniel, it was so interesting for me about you saying in the beginning of your introduction about your career. You started very young and programming many language, I don't know. So I was working with electricity in my country, technology, computer technology in layer 1. I mean, only physically connecting devices. And I realized I need to learn few languages about programming languages. 2 weeks ago, I started a course online and these platforms online with Oracle, SQL, Python. There are many languages, but I don't know how start a programming because in my career I don't learn programming any language. So I started to learn some skills, and I don't know how begin. If you give me some advice or how language is better, or there are one language universal for learn, I don't know. I'm lost.
Okay. Okay, yeah, really good question. Yeah, and there's a lot of different languages. I mean, there's a lot of different technology and technology stacks that you can learn. One language that I think, you know, like for me personally, and I'm a little biased because it's kind of the path that I went on. But C# is always in demand. C# and look at something called .NET Core. And to get started on those languages, you can download Visual Studio from Microsoft. It's free.
Okay.
Community Edition, free. And then from there, you can start looking at developing different kinds of programs. And then from there, you can also get into kind of client-side technology. So there you get into things like JavaScript, which is the scripting that runs on the web browser when you run an application. JavaScript, and then beyond that, you've got some frameworks in there, like Angular. Angular is one framework that's very popular, and there's a bunch of others as well. But you know, when people are looking for software developers, they're looking for people that can program, that have that background, but also can learn new things and continually learn and continually improve. So as somebody who, like myself, who's been a developer, learning the basics, understanding how to program has been extremely, it's fundamental, right? So once you understand that, and once you go through the pain of learning that, which when you're first looking at it, and you don't know anything about it, it can be a very painful learning experience. But as you go through the practices and tutorials, you eventually get it and you eventually know it. And what I can say is that the initial pain of learning, definitely painful, but you'll reach a point where you'll just get it. You'll understand how things work and you'll just get it. And once you just get it, you can just take off and it's a lot easier to learn the more advanced levels, for sure.
Okay, thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great question there, Martin. Definitely, yeah. Someone who's got Danny's vast experience, you guys should take advantage if you need to learn anything about.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Yes, you're a close friend of Daniel.
I don't know about club.
We met.
We met. We met 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
that's the
nice,
thing. Yeah, like when you travel, man, you get to meet loads of people, and that's how I met Daniel. So in Chile, San Pedro. Yeah. Before crossing over to Bolivia in 2017.
I don't remember the name of that bar that we went to, but that was a fun place to go.
It was. Yeah.
You have a really good friends, Daryl. Yeah. You're a great person.
For sure.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Adan, anything from you, man?
Yes, I
I've enjoyed this a lot. Oh, you're not talking to me. Are you talking to me?
yes, Daniel. Daniel, thank you to you. Okay, I hear you enjoyed your trip for Latin America, but I have an embarrassing question.
Sure.
Would you marry or compromise with a Latin American woman, and why?
Repeat the question.
Yes, would you marry or compromise with one Latin American woman, and why?
Will I marry or would I?
Yeah, I don't know. What would you marry?
Sure, why not?
Okay, why?
Well, I am married to a Brazilian.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but let's say that situation did not exist. Sure, why not?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Sorry, Mrs. Douglas.
I think Brazilian, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's it from you.
Okay.
Good, yeah. Good question, Danny. Embarrassing questions are fun, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Good question.
Great question. A great question. Let's go. Gina, any questions from you?
Yes, I hear that he recommends, or you recommend, in teacher language and programming, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Also, I was programming, but I have a doubt about websites for teachers. That I think it's more expensive for hosting and for hosting and
For hosting.
I don't know if the Microsoft.
Yep.
Yes, I was developed.
Okay.
In C#.
Okay.
System, but I looked that was expensive for kind of a business, like a start.
Okay.
For that, I don't know if another option do you recommend? I don't know. Or you know, maybe how do you get?
I'm actually having trouble to hear you. It's cutting out a little bit. So I didn't hear it. So
You understand me? Or,
yeah. When it's talking, I can understand, but then the microphone cuts out, and I can't hear it.
I was programming in C# language websites.
Yep. Websites. Yep.
Yeah, but I look at that hosting like that was high for these websites in Microsoft.
Yes. Yep. I think that I found GoDaddy to be one of the cheaper companies for hosting. But there's a lot of discount hosting out there. I don't know the prices though. But these days, do you have any other? Yeah.
Yeah, another that I would like today. What tools or for what tool for programming you recommend most for easy to do programming?
Yeah, I think a really good one is Visual Studio. In Visual Studio, you can write a lot of things in C# and .NET. That's my favorite tool, and it's it's a lot easier to learn, I think, than other ones. I mean, there is a learning curve, but that's what I would recommend because I know it. I find that Microsoft technology is always in demand, and to know the platforms of Microsoft in Visual Studio and Microsoft's actually becoming more open source as well. So programs being run on with Microsoft technology now, with platforms like .NET Core, actually run on non-Microsoft hardware as well, Linux and other things too. So that's why I kind of advocate for Visual Studio in that platform. And so to me, it's easier to use than a lot of the others, and it's something that I would recommend. If you talk to other people that do just client-side development, like that just do websites, they might have a different tool they recommend. But for me, I would say Visual Studio for sure.
Great question, Gina.
Yeah.
I was interested in the security. Entonces, I have inclination for a free software, no? Like Linux. What is your point in this case for security? I have to maybe manage to free software or Microsoft. You know that Microsoft is you have to get a license, right? But free software, not absolutely free, but it's more, I think, in security, we have to learn more or get, I don't know if you have a recommendation for tooling free software.
I don't use a lot of Linux, but one thing I have done is you can write programs in .NET Core, even websites, and they can be hosted on Linux if you use something called .NET Core, which is the new Microsoft platform that they're pushing. And so that allows you to actually build a website and build applications using Microsoft technology, but you don't need Microsoft servers to run it, or Windows Server and that kind of stuff. So that would be something that you could look at in terms of hosting, right? Building something in ASP.NET Core. And then run it on Linux. And in terms of security, I don't like. I think that Linux is free, and if you have a computer, you can run, VMware. I don't think VMware is free, but I think they do have a free version of VMware that you can use to run Linux, and then you can use that to practice and play around with security and settings and firewalls and stuff like that. So that would be one way to go with that for sure. In terms of how you approach learning things about security, like I think that the best way is to, you know, get a book on security or take some courses on security. To understand like what kind of setup that you would need to learn this and to use the tooling and things like that. Did that answer your question? Okay.
I can, what? Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Gina. Thank you. Okay, Andrea V. Andrea V. Any question from you? And I think Emanuela, anything from you?
Yes, maybe one last one. What are your hobbies beside of software and development? And do you have something you love, you go for?
Yeah. Travel, meeting new people. One thing that I want to get better at is actually meeting new people in the city that I live. I find that it's somehow, when I'm traveling, I meet a million new people and I become friends with many of them. When I'm in my own city, in my own country, it becomes kind of like a bubble sometimes. So I really like doing that. I'd love to be able to, like in my own city, just meet random people for coffee and get to know other people just to share experiences and stuff. So that's what I really like to do. And then photography. I love photography. Taking photos of things I see on the street or when I travel, I really enjoy that. And so I do that a lot. Writing, I like to write. I have a couple of blogs. I have a software blog, I have a travel blog, and so I write different things about both those subjects when the inspiration kind of hits me. I like to write, and so like I find like I have a lot of stuff in my head sometimes, and I just kind of got to get it out, and one way to get it out is just to write about it. And
So is your travel blog published, or is it for just a few friends? Will you share it with us, or?
Yeah, the blogs are just public blogs on the internet. So my travel blog is dancantravel.com, and then my software blog is danonsoftware.com. I got two of them. And I put photography on Instagram as well. Dan Can Travels on Instagram as well, so I do that too. And I think in terms of hobbies, that's kind of, those are the two big things I think right now that I like to practice.
Yeah.
Cool. So Danny, is this your website? Is this you?
Let me see.
Dan Can Travel.
Let me see. Yeah, that's totally it.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
There you go, guys. So we've got airlines. So Dan will give you the lowdown, a guide on who to use, who to fly with, and who not to fly with.
Well, WoW Air is now bankrupt, so whole article.
Well, Dan, you have a lot of experience throughout around the world.
Yeah, I try to visit places, and you know, I would say that in all these like trips here, I was doing that for a while where I was like posting like deals I found, but I haven't done that in a long time. But and then Instagram is where I post most of the new photography more regularly. But I still write blog, you know, when I can. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of camera do you use to take this picture? Because you're a professional photos.
I appreciate it.
Page.
Yeah, I use the Sony A6000.
Sony.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've wanted to upgrade it for a while. I just haven't done it yet. But it's a great camera.
And what do you think about these new cell phones with extra cameras technology to take photos, like Huawei, iPhone?
The photography on the new cameras, the new phones, it is incredible. I really like my iPhone. I do have an iPhone, but I take a lot of photos with the iPhone too. And I haven't used any non-Apple iPhone or phone in a long time, but I have a lot of friends that swear on Samsung and swear on Huawei, you know. But I don't have a lot of experience with the those other phones.
Yes,
Yeah.
because these cell phones use artificial intelligence, artificial for take photos, and so you don't need to configure your reflect camera.
Sorry, can you?
Cell phones use intelligence artificial for take photos. Difference, you have to reflect camera. You need to configure manual.
I use sometimes I use manual on my camera when I want to get a certain shot, but I usually use like aperture mode, and I set a certain aperture, and then I go from there. It's great for street shooting, right? If you're walking in the street, I try to set it to a certain setting, and that way when things come up that I want to shoot, I can just take the shot. And when you're shooting things on the streets, that's kind of important, because if you have to take a lot of time to adjust it before every single shot, you will, miss the shot. So that's an example of some street photography right there. But
there you go, guys. When Dan was briefly in La Paz for a couple of days with his wife, this is some photos he took.
Yeah.
What year was this done? 2018, 2017, or
2017.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Santa Cruz, Linares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
The Wishes Market.
The Wishes Market, yes. Then MTV Fashion Boutique.
You know it? Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm just laughing at the name. The names are inspired.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then
Hey,
the guys
Dan.
are doing the trial.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I hear you're traveling for 3 years around the world. Okay, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I know the Canadians love Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Do you miss Tim Hortons? And when you're traveling around the world, outside the Canada, you find other Tim Hortons?
I don't miss Tim Hortons.
Wow.
No, because well, I mean, Tim Hortons is really good coffee, but lately, in the last year or two, I've gotten really into coffee. And so like understanding coffee from different regions, understanding the different tastes in different regions, understanding how like grind size of the coffee affects the coffee, understanding how the processing method affects the coffee. And so I've gotten really good at understanding the difference in flavor profiles of different coffees. And I love that. And Tim Hortons coffee is just a mass-produced coffee. They do a good job, but it's mass-produced, and honestly, it doesn't compare to the other coffees that I buy. It's mass-produced. It's great with milk and sugar. It's fantastic, but I drink it black, and it's a little bit bitter if you get Tim Hortons. It's still pretty good, but I like experimenting with different coffees, and so if I go to another place, I want to try the coffee there. I don't miss Tim Hortons at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom, for example, she would be craving Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
She would miss Tim Hortons for sure. And if there was a Tim Hortons where she was traveling, she would definitely make a point of going there to get the Tim Hortons. So, but not me. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Great question, Adam. Great question. Okay, Mariana, anything from you?
And just I have a family question for Daniel. How was your experience in another country?
Sorry?
How was your first experience in another country?
In actually the very first time I went to another country was I traveled to Mexico back in 2005, and that was an interesting experience because I had never seen other cultures before. But I traveled for work, and so it wasn't quite the same as traveling on my own. The first place I traveled on my own was actually Las Vegas. I went to Las Vegas, and that was interesting, but it was still like, it was like a 1-week trip. And so it wasn't the same as actually backpacking and having time to actually go slow and see different places. And so that was in Europe, where I went to Europe, and that was a phenomenal experience. I never experienced that form of travel before, where you just have you don't have a set plan. I didn't have a set plan, and I just kind of met people along the way, and really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that freedom at that point in time. And I had really thought about that trip before I went on that trip, and I thought about where I wanted to go. And I decided Europe, but I could have went just as easily to South America or other places. But I chose Europe because I thought it'd be interesting, and I met a lot of really, really cool people and had a lot of fun. It was really a good time. Opened my eyes to a lot of different things and different cultures and different food, and just a different way of getting by with your life, meeting people with different ideas that are outside of my normal peer group. That was really valuable to me, and on every single trip I've gone on to, almost every single trip, especially the longer ones, I've met people that I've become good friends with, that I'm still in contact with, even today. One of my really close friends that I met in 2011 is from Venezuela, and we talk all the time. Maybe not as much recently, but I think travel changes you in some way, because you see the world a little bit differently. And traveling to Cuba was really interesting too, because your idea of how things are in a certain place, is shaped by what people are telling you and what you hear in the media, but it's not always reality. And so it was very interesting to see different things and to really experience different places. And so I would say that every single trip I've been on has changed me in some way, for sure.
Well, do you know Spanish?
A little bit, not very much. But I know more Spanish, I think, than I know French, just because I probably, even though I'm in Canada and we're multilingual, in the last, 5 or 6 years, I've probably spent more time in Spanish-speaking countries than I have in, the French-speaking part of Canada.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mari. Thank you. Okay, Andrea G or Andrea V, any questions from you guys before we wrap up? Come on, Andrea G, come on. Any questions in the world? Come on, Andrea, don't be shy. You can ask Dan anything. What's his favorite drink? What's his favorite, I don't know, what his favorite vegetables?
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what's your favorite tipple?
My favorite what?
What's your favorite tipple, or what's your poison at the moment?
Coffee.
There you go.
Coffee, man. I drink a lot.
From where? From
Yeah.
where? From what kind of coffee? Where is it from?
I buy different coffee all the time. Actually, you know what? I haven't had coffee in a couple of weeks until today. I switched to tea for a while, but I actually prefer the coffees I'm getting from different places in Latin America. Mexico has great coffee, Panama, Honduras, Brazil. So yeah, those are the coffees I've been buying a lot recently.
Yeah, Bolivia's got some great coffee from the Yungas region, I believe. Yeah,
Really?
Carolina. Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
It's untapped. It's an untapped market share, but yeah, the coffee's amazing.
Oh, thanks for letting me know.
I don't know if you can find some in Toronto. I don't know, but yeah, if you can.
Maybe I'll look for it. Like in Toronto, it's easy to find African coffee from different parts of Africa, like Honduras, Panama. Those countries are pretty easy. Brazil, Colombia, very easy. Mexico, you can find it. It's a little more difficult, but you can find it. Peru is a little more difficult, but you can find it too. I've never seen Bolivian coffee here, but I'm gonna look for it now. A good point.
Okay. Rosario, anything from you?
Yes, Daniel, could you please tell me the real situation of Canada with respect to immigration? I heard that the borders will be closed again by the coronavirus. Is it true?
We hear a lot of things about the borders being closed. I thought the border was closed to the US. I thought that, and I thought it was still closed. And then I have friends telling me that, I traveled to the US last week. So apparently they're not closed, at least for flights. But I don't know the current situation. And I don't know what's gonna happen in the future with the borders. I believe right now everything's pretty open. The only restriction we have here is if you come back to Canada, you have to quarantine for 14 days. That's the restriction I'm aware of. And I think there's less flights than we normally have. But if you can get a flight to Canada, our borders are currently open at least.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Daniel, is it true the cell phones are very expensive in Canada?
Cell phones?
Yeah.
iPhones are getting too expensive. Like, I think the most expensive iPhone goes up to like, I don't know if it's like quite $2,000, but it gets pretty close to that, the most expensive one. Maybe $1,500, which is insane. Just completely insane.
Just for a phone, yeah.
Just for a phone, yeah. But I think cell phone prices are between, you can get a decent cell phone for, a couple $100 now for some of the phones, up to the iPhone. And the iPhone's the most expensive, right? For some reason, Apples are, always expensive. I think though, what's really interesting though, is compared to the prices in, at least in Brazil and probably other countries too, it's still cheaper to buy the phone outside of Brazil, for example, because there's a lot of taxes that get charged to imported products, especially electronics. And so I know that in some countries that have those heavy import costs, and I don't know if Bolivia is the same, it very well might be, you end up paying actually 3 times the price for the same phone that you'd buy, in Europe or buy in Canada or USA. I don't know if that's true for all countries, but I know some countries like Brazil, that was true. And I was very surprised by that, but that was true.
Okay. You need to pay taxes for everything you buy. In Bolivia, you don't need to pay taxes for a cell phone or other devices.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
and are the prices in Bolivia the same as if
related
in USA, or is it more expensive or less expensive?
It's expensive from, no, it's very cheap in relation for United States and Canada, because the devices comes here from directly China, and yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Really interesting.
Yeah, Daniel. And you prefer a cell phone or a reflex camera to take a good picture?
I have a mirrorless camera.
Reflex camera.
Yeah, mirrorless. It's the same. It's like a DSLR, but it's mirrorless. I love my camera a lot. If I prefer I prefer the photos from my camera, but I've taken amazing photos from my cell phone too. But that I think are amazing. I mean, other people might not think they're amazing, but you know.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Okay, thanks, Martin. Manu, anything from you before we close?
No, I guess I have to thank you, Daniel. It was really interesting to listen to you and your travel experience, and of course what's going on in Canada. For Germany, I can say since today I'm living in a risk area. We have a lot of cases here. Everything is increasing, so I can't travel. That means, Daryl, I will be guest next week as well.
Good.
Manu is on lockdown again.
Yeah, I think most of Europe is going back into lockdown.
Yeah.
The winter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Winter's coming, and it's going to be locked down in Europe, definitely.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming to Daryl.
Yeah, well, Christmas is coming. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What do you do in Switzerland, in Canada, in Germany for Christmas?
Oh, good question. So, Danny, what do you
what
do
kind
for
of
Christmas?
foods? Maybe you spend that time with your family. What kind of foods do you eat? I don't know. I'd like to know.
Well, I think it's Christmas tree. Christmas tree. Families have a big Christmas tree usually. We decorate it, and then we generally open up our presents on Christmas Day. So in the morning, families that have kids. When I was a kid, we were always excited about Christmas. Like we'd wake up in the morning as early as possible, run down the stairs, go to the Christmas tree where we'd have a bunch of presents, and our parents would hand out the gifts and we'd open them. That was kind of our Christmas. I mean, now it's kind of similar. I mean, this year, I don't know how Christmas is going to look this year with COVID, but generally we have a tree, lights, and we decorate it, things like that. I know in some places, especially if you're Catholic, a lot of people will open up presents on Christmas on 25th, but at the stroke of midnight. And in Quebec here as well, and Catholic people kind of have that tradition here as well. But we never had that tradition. I never had that tradition personally. That's kind of it. I mean, Christmas is a kind of a special time here. We have a lot of snow, usually snow, not always, but usually. Nice time.
And sorry, Daniel, what kind of food accustomed do you eat in Christmas? Maybe poutine?
Sorry?
What kind of food is traditional in Canada for Christmas?
Turkey.
Turkey.
Usually turkey. Turkey, stuffing, potatoes, gravy, vegetables, salad. Yeah.
Yeah. We got a lot of things in common. So
yeah.
In Germany, I don't know how is the Christmas. I don't know, Manuel, so I can ask you.
How is that comparable to that what Danny has expressed? It is with a Christmas tree, and we are doing that not in the morning. We are doing that on the 24th in the evening. I guess for the Canadian guys, you're doing that on the 25th. Is that correct?
Yeah, 25th usually.
Yeah, we're going to church on the 24th in the evening, and then the I don't know, what is the word? Christkind. That is, it looks a bit like an angel. That one is bringing the gifts already here in Germany on the 24th. We are a bit earlier than you guys. But on the next day, Boxing Day, etc., then we go together and have a nice lunch with the families. Of course, really festive with the tree and given a lot of gifts to brother, sister, Nifi, friends, everybody's involved in that. And you, of course, you drink 1 or 2 glasses of beer or wine or whatever you want to.
Yeah.
It's always really cozy. Yeah, it is a family thing.
Very, very nice. What I liked about Germany is that traveling in Germany, it felt like every single town had their own beer from that town.
They do. Yes,
That's
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we are good at that.
I think in Germany, there's like 1 million breweries.
Yeah.
So like each town, province has its own signature brew.
But what I'm finding in Canada now, though, and probably other places too, is that microbreweries are such a big thing now. And so now when you travel across Canada and Ontario and different places, almost every city, even the small cities, have their own microbreweries now. So it's kind of like, it's interesting because I mean, these breweries in Germany are hundreds of years old sometimes. Like they're very old sometimes. And in Canada, like it was always like the big corporations that would produce beer all the time. Now we're seeing microbreweries popping up in almost every single little city, which is really interesting how that paradigm kind of shifts, you know, back and forth. But, yeah.
Thanks. Andrea, okay. Andrea, G?
Yes, well, I have a question about the organization of time. Currently, I'm still in school, and I wanted to know if when you were in school, you already had a stable time organization, such as having a schedule.
Having what? Sorry?
A schedule.
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 No, not at all. I never. I was never disciplined enough, especially when I was younger, to keep a steady schedule. I was more reactive, I think, rather than keeping a disciplined schedule. Whereas something came up that I had to do, then I would do it and I would figure out a way to do it. But I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was disciplined that way though. Somehow it worked out for me, but I think I just loved what I was doing so much that it worked out. I think now I'm more disciplined in life on certain areas, but when I was going to school, I mean, I was disciplined to the point that I worked hard, I practiced, I studied hard in college because I knew it was very important because this is what I wanted to do for a living. So I did study hard and I worked hard at what I was doing and I put in the time and I put in the effort and I put in hours of effort as I needed to. But in terms of having like a schedule and that kind of discipline, I wasn't disciplined in that way, but I found other ways to get by, just by working hard and being thorough in the work that I was doing. Is that a fair answer?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay, Daniel, I have one question more and I have a weird questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard that in the Hollywood directors choose Canada to make movies pretending it's USA.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yeah, we have movie studios here, production studios here. They film a lot of movies here, and they film movies and they try to pass it off as New York and other places in the USA, but they're actually filmed here. And there's a lot of movies like that, for sure. They do a lot of filming here. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay, thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. Great. All right. Yeah, our time's nearly up, guys. Okay, anyone wants to say anything to Dan before believe. Martin, Rosario, Andrea Gina, Mariana, Andrea G.
Yes, I want to ask, what is the payment, basic payment for technology in Canada?
Like the salary?
Yes, I
In
think.
technology. Yes,
Okay.
basics.
So it depends on location. So salary for like a
Yeah,
full-time,
maybe example for the what specialist, I don't know, a basic payment or approximately maybe.
Yeah, sure. So it depends on your years of experience for sure. Somebody, and I'm basing this information because I have friends that have just started working in programming after college in the last couple of years. And so I think in Toronto, starting salary on the lowest end would be probably maybe $60,000 in Canadian money on the lower end to start. Maybe even lower than that. Maybe even 50,000, depending on the company, right? Depending where.
Per month or per hours?
Per year.
Per year.
Per year.
Per year.
Yeah.
Okay. Approximate.
So it's approximately, you know, 50,000 US in soles, 180,000 soles. 180,000 soles. In Bolivian money, we're talking about 350,000 bolivianos a year.
Yeah.
Just at the lowest end, minimum experience, maybe come from university. That's the starting salary of someone in the technology field.
Yeah, generally. I mean, there's always,
depending on the company,
cases where there's more, cases where there's less, right? But if I was graduating from a new university, I don't think I'd accept less than that. It's definitely doable, achievable. And then, you know, as you get more senior, right, salary could be up to, you know, 100,000. Can be much more than that as well, right? It just, as you grow in your career, you progress. It can be more than that in terms of a full-time salary. And contracting is a little bit different, and it depends on a lot of various factors. But when you're thinking about just salary in IT, I think that is reasonable. I believe. And I mean, outside of the big city, it might be less for sure outside of the big city, but that's what I'd be thinking about in the city.
Thank you, sure. And my final question, whom you admire, or what is your belief or or your religion?
I don't practice religion very much. I like religion. I like to talk to people about their religious beliefs and understand religion and understand different people and different beliefs. I have friends with backgrounds from all kinds of different religions, and I love talking to them about their religion and things that they believe. But I don't have very specific or very particular religious beliefs.
Oh, thank you for your reply. That is.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, religion. No one's really talked about it. Okay, guys. Danny, anything from yourself? Anything you want to tell us? Any tips? Anything?
No, I have.
Or any like links you can share with the guys who might want to do programming or whatever.
Yeah. So that link that you were showing, I think the software link as well, which is called Dan on Software.
Yeah.
I can type that in the chat actually.
Yeah, just type in the chat please for the guys.
Yeah, so that's the software link. This is my travel site link. And then my Instagram is the same thing, is that on Instagram.
Thank you.
And that's not my Twitter. Some other guy took that handle on Twitter, so I don't have that on Twitter, but that's some other guy. But on Instagram, it's Dan Can Travel. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
There you go. You go
Hey,
danielsoftware.com. Sorry, go on, Martin.
Thank you, Daryl. Daniel, I'd like to visit your country maybe one day.
Yeah.
But I need a high level of English, of course. I'd like to visit your country to develop my skills and program and I don't know. But do you know Latin persons or you work a project with other language speakers? Do you have a project?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with people on big projects where a lot of the team was from India, for example. And there was a very, very large team in India. They were developing a lot of the components for the software solution that we were implementing. And so I led the development team there, focusing on various aspects of the project. And so I worked very closely with the people there in meetings, communicating with them, kind of developing proof of concepts and showing them kind of what we are looking for. And also making sure that communication between them and between us was operating smoothly. And so I was doing that, and that was a really good project. I think it's a good example. But I've worked with people from a lot of different countries where English wasn't their first language, and even people that I worked with in Canada, inside our country, many of those people, English isn't their first language. And so I've worked with a lot of different people, and the work environment in Canada, especially specifically Toronto, specifically the big cities, any environment you go into, or me specifically, any environment I go into, I would expect that there are many people who come from different countries where English isn't their first language.
Okay, and language is the common official to communicate in any job. Yeah.
I mean, to speak English here and communicate in English verbally and textually is really important. But people here recognize too that English isn't everybody's first language, but it is the primary language of business here, 100%.
Yes, of course. I understand. And Manuela, if I visit your country for tourism or work, I can enjoy your country just learning, just speaking English.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
you're talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, Manuela.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's common in Germany to speak English, so that is our language. First language we learn, beside of German, of course, but this is the first foreign language we are learning, and then you can choose French or Spanish, whatever you want. And yes, a lot of people, younger people especially, they speak German. And they have a lot of experience because it's really interesting for the most of the Germans to move to another state in Europe to work there or to go to college, to exchange to another university, etc. My former husband did that. He was in Manchester and did his studies there. So that is totally normal that you have an exchange here in Europe. That's common. So you can speak to English here perfectly. Everybody will help you and you will come through. Danny can confirm that.
Thank you, Manuela. Thank you. It's good to know for me that
you can come. You are always welcome. When the stupid pandemic is over, you can come.
Yeah. This is like when the appeared the vaccine, maybe after. Yeah.
That's a big question because I often wonder about what it would take to work in Europe, because right now I can't work in Europe. I'd love to be able to work in Europe as well. So I envy people who have like a European Union passport or work authorization. I think to have the ability to work in so many different countries in Europe and to be close to so many different countries, I think is really cool. That's
definitely.
Yeah.
I guess when you have a job offer and then you get a kind of green card and then you can come and
yeah.
I get that is the point. You need the job offer and you have to go to the embassy or to the offices here to show that, and then you get a kind of green card which makes you stay legal here in Germany. Yeah.
That's nice. I know like my family ancestry comes from France, but mostly comes from Scotland, and I tried to see if I could get some kind of work visa or citizenship based on, like great grandparents, Scotland, UK. They won't have it. They won't do it. So
they don't want to have you. That's a shame.
So.
That is a shame.
My great grandfather came from Scotland. I think I have some right.
That's a shame.
Well, Douglas is a Scottish name.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally.
Old MacDougall had a farm, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dankeschön, Manuela.
Bitteschön. Very good.
Okay, guys, well done. Next Saturday we have a girl from Bolivia who's qualified for the shooting program. So today she's actually on the plane from La Paz to London, Heathrow. So she's gonna come next Saturday and tell us how she applied for the shooting program that Jill from the United Kingdom Embassy mentioned. She's gonna go through how she applied, the process, how she was selected. And remember, the program is still on. I think the deadline for applications is next month. So she'll explain the process. And remember, I told you the whole package is you don't need to pay anything. Everything is paid for you. It's a scholarship. What you call it? Becca. The scholarship is worth up to £20,000. I think £20,000 in Bolivian money, 20 times 9, 180,000 Bolivianos. Scholarship. They pay for your university accommodation, guys. It's something to consider. And she left her home today, I think in the morning, to travel to the United Kingdom. So she'll join us from London anyway, from next Saturday. I think that'll be good for you guys, who are interested in in applying for the scholarship. It's open for you guys. The only thing you need to do is go onto the website and apply. Man, it's free. The applications are free, and this opportunity can change your lifetime. They pay for your education, and you can go study at most of the universities in the United Kingdom, guys. So please take this opportunity next Saturday to have a listen to her. She'll tell you the process, what you guys need to do, the requirements. So hopefully you guys turn up next Saturday. Yeah, then we can have a discussion as well about the next day. We know what the next day is on Sunday, the 18th, the election. So we can discuss that as well.
Yeah, sure.
Should be fun. It should be an interesting and fun weekend, guys, next week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Daryl.
Okay, guys. All right, guys, Dan. I don't know how to thank you, but thank you for accepting the invitation to join us. Excellent, amazing stuff, amazing content from yourself. I'm sure the guys appreciated you joining us and they've learned a lot. Definitely.
I appreciate you inviting me here. I enjoyed it. And nice meeting you all, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Thank you,
exactly.
Daniel.
Yeah, well, when everything, well, I don't think there's going to be a new normal for some time, but when everything opens up and everything's a bit easier for us, yeah, man, you should rock up to Bolivia, man. So it's a beautiful country, especially with your camera. With your camera, yeah, you'll take loads of stuff from the different 9 provinces. They've got everything apart from the beach, which sometimes you don't need that, but they've got everything to be able to like take millions of beautiful photos.
Yeah, definitely. When I left Bolivia, I said I'm coming back at some point, so I'll be back for sure.
Okay, Dan. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Okay. I promise when I stay there in Canada, I will find you and maybe I will invite you on Tim Hortons.
Fantastic. Yeah, we can do that, and then I can go to another coffee shop, and you can compare the two.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
See you there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, Manuel as well, for sharing your knowledge with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I thank you all and have a nice weekend. Enjoy yourself and stay healthy. And see you next Saturday.
See you next Saturday, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. See you next Saturday. Goodbye, Dan. Goodbye, Manuela, Gina, Andrea G, Rosario, Adan, Martin, and Mariana. Okay, guys. All right, guys. Have a great weekend and a good week as well. Be safe, guys. Wear your face masks. Honestly, yeah. Although the numbers of COVID are very low in Bolivia, that's a lie because they want the elections to go ahead next weekend.
Oh,
be safe.
Okay.
Yeah,
COVID is out there. Yeah, the numbers are a lie right now.
Interesting.
Be safe, guys. Don't worry. Once the elections finish, the numbers will go back up again. Yeah, the numbers are being pushed at the moment.
All right.
Do you have a favorite candidate, Darren?
We'll discuss next week. Let me look at the research. Let me do my research. Let me look at the propagandas of each candidate. And we can have a discussion next Saturday.
Oh, yes. Okay, Darren.
Yeah, then I'll send some challenges for you, some political terms I want you guys to use in your conversations next Saturday. Okay, guys.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Darrell. Thank you, Dan.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. See you. Take care.
Thank you.
Goodbye.